now we are here together and we are going to make sure that you have an interesting topic to spread with us. And I'm giving the word from yours to your side. Just go ahead. I know that we have a couple of minutes or 10 for 15 minutes until go to the next meeting.
Yeah, perfect. So I'll give a brief introduction about Tangem. Because we're going to keep it general and short today. Basically, what we've built at Tangem is a way to make digital assets available to everyone in the world in a very affordable way and a very secure way. So digital assets of all sorts, obviously, including cryptocurrencies and all sort of tokenized assets, are a bit of a beast to manage, because if you're not particularly familiar with technology and apps and way to keep information secure and your passwords and your private keys, then you're very vulnerable. Also, accessing all the devices and the tools necessary to manage digital currencies and digital assets is not necessarily up for everyone. So we managed to produce a card product that is based on a secure chip that you can see here. There's no more.
Just please turn off the background and we will see it.
So this beautiful chip. This is a die card, but it doesn't really matter. The beautiful chip that you can see here is a secure element.
I see.
And it's particularly secure, but also difficult to use for computation. So we managed to compute elliptic cryptography inside this chip, and therefore we can compute, we can generate keys and key pairs with FIPS 140-2 standards, and also we can sign transactions from the chip with any sort of signature scheme that is required for blockchains, like SEC P256K1 or R1 or ED25519, only with passive power. So when you tap this card on a phone, you can see what's inside. This one, for example, has one die, meaning that the keys for that wallet are only and solely contained in this card. And the phone is just an interface. The phone is just an interface that tells us what we have in that wallet. The phone will verify that the private keys are really in the card, and will do so with a challenge response. And the chip will never reveal the keys outside. So we have developed the firmware to do this. It has been audited by Kudelski Security. And then we've released open source, all the SDKs that are necessary to talk to the card. So we sell all these beautiful crypto cards on our wallet at shop.tangem.com, and you can buy for Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Lumens, Stellar, and Cardano, and soon Tezos. And they are a self-contained wallet that is not dependent on any mobile app or any phone. The wallet is in the car. With a phone, you can access it and you can transact, and you request the card basically to transact, but the card is the sole title of ownership of the assets. So we've created a cash-like experience for digital assets. And then, of course, this can be used in many different forms. We have anti-counterfeit tags like this one that are particularly compact in form factor and can, in real time, give you blockchain-based validation of authenticity. We have ID cards. We're working also in the direction of central bank digital currency to help central banks distribute their new digital currency to citizens and constituents in an effective, inclusive manner that doesn't require software, apps, education, tech savvy. And so there's a lot of things we're doing, but specifically for cryptocurrencies, I think the next big step for that we can help with is stable coins and tokenized assets, where we can make the distribution and usage and transaction, anything from large transactions to micro transactions, really convenient and simple.
Okay, Sergio, I have a question. How do you, interconnect with the iPhones? Because a lot of difficult connection with via NFC to the cards because Apple Corporation don't give in any kind of opportunity to work with the NFC chip. I don't know how it's happened on your side, or you are looking only, or you are using normally Android.
No, we're fully compatible with iOS. I don't have one on this table now, but it's fully working. It's 100% compatible. Yes, Apple has not made NFC stack fully and transparently available to developers. Yeah. It's a big pity. I think Apple should really reconsider this. We still managed to make it work fully. What Apple is really limiting, but frankly also Google, is the EMV payment capability. So you cannot really make the phone emulate debit credit card on an EMV network for Visa, Master, JCB, Amex. That is partly because they want to maintain the monopoly with their Apple Pay and Google Pay apps, and partly, I guess, for fraud prevention. But our cards can bypass that because the type of NFC protocol we use to communicate with the phone is standard NDEF based. So it's really plus we use some other proprietary commands, but it's all NFC standard. So we don't need to step on anyone's toes there. And then the cards themselves in the future iterations in 2021 also will be compatible with EMV. So we do have some plans to launch Visa and Master and other cards that are peer-to-peer wallets, meaning that they're self-contained, self-custody, digital currency wallet, but at the same time can transact on the Visa and Master network.
Very interesting and good stuff. Sergio, these cards are available only for American citizens. Who's the issuer and who can own that card?
Yeah, those cards are, we're talking about the EMV cards now that are a bit of a separate product. And clearly need an issuer bank that is, or issuer entity that is fully licensed by the payment network, so by either Visa, Master, or JCB, or a Union Pay, and they need to be so the product has to be certified, which is what we do, and then the issuer need to issue the cards based on specific requests for distribution from a program operator. So if you see it, there's an existing example. Imagine United Airlines wants to issue cards, then they run the program. They're the program operator. They'll either hire someone to do it, or they do it themselves, and then they need to rent issuing license. It's called BIN sponsorship, and they get this from existing banks who do that as a line of business. There's a ton of banks like Meta Bank, like Green Dot, there's used to be Wirecard, and all these Solaris, Contis in Europe, and all these banks rent their license to third parties who want to run a credit card or debit card program.
I see.
So yes, it is definitely country specific. Yes, you do need licensing. Yes, you do. It works from the regulatory perspective. It works like traditional debit credit cards, but from the product perspective, it's very substantial difference because there's no bank account.
Actually, my question is how people, how people can get that card, because from the beginning they have to get from their country, or they can get, for example, some kind of virtually just connected to the Apple ID, or connected to the Google ID and using Samsung, something like that. Okay, I got your point. And my next question is, I see the DAI mentioned on the cards. Do you anyhow connect it to the DAI project or not?
Not directly. I mean, the project is
because it's a stable coin. Looks like you are inventing digital currency. Yes.
No, look, our cards support all sort of currencies, right? So this one, for example, is made of wood. I think I've loaded some other currency here. This is USDC.
Yeah, it's USDC coin. Yeah, okay.
100 USDC. It really doesn't matter. We support also the Binance coin, the Gemini coin. They're all there's no limitation from our side on what can be supported by the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, every project, every tokenizer has different growth ambitions. So the stable coins, US dollar stable coins, are a very specific niche, but the ones that we see more interesting are emerging markets where there's an opportunity to leapfrog entire populations from barter and not even cash to digital payments without having to teach really how to use a digital system. And that's a real revolution. Imagine your Metro card. You don't really need a lot of education to use it, but it works. And it's value, it's money, and right? So we are doing that for the world, for digital assets. And it could be Bitcoin, or it could be DAI, it could be any sort of stablecoin, or it could be central bank digital currency.
I see. You know, Sergio, looks like world is already changing. What I see by your card is already changing. It's not changed yet, but it's on the way. And the last time, you know, what kind of opportunities users has to on get your cards or on get into your business, on get into the promotion of your business? What do you offer? I'm looking at that way. Maybe some interesting thing to our customers, to your customers.
Yeah, of course. So we have a good core audience of passionate clients who buy directly from shop.tangem.com, and they can buy already a good selection of crypto cards there. We are going to expand actually the type of products available there. There's going to be updates in the next few months. And we do have several projects and companies that tokenize. For example, we have 2 or 3 gold tokenizers who will start distributing Tangem cards in the next few months. One, I think, has been already announced. It's Aurus, based in the Netherlands. One is Mintex, based in Hong Kong, San Francisco, and there's others as well. And all these projects, and also there's proprietary coins, or let's say independently tokenized assets they use the cards as a title to transport them, to deliver them, to buy, to sell, to distribute, to transact with them. And yes, we do customize cards. Just get in touch with us at sales@tangem.com. We can from 1,000 cards up, we can do completely customized designs. I don't know if I have something to show here. Yeah, for example, this is used for the Central Bank of Cambodia for the real-time gross settlement. I don't have any special card here. Another cool project that we work with is Lobster Vault. Lobster is a Stellar-based wallet, and their Vault app is a multi-signatory solution that helps setting up MOVN multi-sig wallets. And you can choose to have a Tangem card as a signer, so that you would have multiple Tangem cards in various parts of the world to tap on their phone to complete a signature to co-sign a transaction. So yeah, we do work with all sort of projects, small and big, and help them having a Tangem card that is customized for them and does the job.
You know, and actually for the users, you know, it looks like very simple. It's just a card, nothing else. But I clearly understand how huge amount of job and how difficult it's to realize and to develop over the globe. Thank you, Sergio, for your time. It's very interesting to be in controversial with you. Yes, I know you have to go. I think it's not the last time we're talking about this product. I'm sure that we have met a little bit later, yes, maybe on next event. Sergio, thank you personally. Thank you for your good product, Tangem. We have to have been heard about it. Okay, see you a little bit later. Okay, bye.
And I'm a Bitcoin baron, I'm scaring the status quo. Got that crypto going and that foul to flow. In the algorithm, gon' get him a jail, prison sentence on to prison. And that's a nerdy living. I'm a Bitcoin baron, I'm scaring the status quo. Got that crypto going and that foul to flow. In the algorithm, gon' get.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you here. I'm sure that I have all of your passions here. I see extremely distinguished people here with me around the globe. I want to welcome Gordon Einstein from the LA. Gordon, nice to meet you. Mohamed Tilab, Tariq Suisi, Jorge Sebastiao from Dubai, Avengesh Gupta, Franco, Anderson Ilya Boys, Sheikh Jain, Clinton, Andy, Anatoly Mogui, my wife already here with us. Guys, we are running 26 weeks of daily broadcasts on DTV channel. It's decentralized television and with community management on air. Today on Crypto Monday, I'm happy to hold on Crypto Bridge, Moscow, Dubai, and Los Angeles with appropriate hosts, Jorge Sebastiao and Gordon and Shane. They are going to share the latest news from Dubai and LA. Accordingly, I think we can start from the Georgia and with his guest. Word goes to your side, George. Nice to meet you. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Sergey. It's a pleasure to be here. First, welcome to the EchoX community. We have over 200, 300 people listening in online via YouTube. We have a few privileged ones here also on Zoom as well. As you know, Dubai has had some challenges with COVID over the last 3 or 4 days. Normally, we have been holding this event live for the last 2 years. However, we started it about 6 weeks ago. So we had 5 weeks live event. So the next 2 weeks, this week and tomorrow, it will be via virtual event in Zoom, jointly with Sergey. And we're going to go to Toronto. We're going to go to New York. We're going to go Moscow and Dubai as well, all at the same time. So I welcome you all. It's a very big community, and it's a pleasure to be here where we discuss about various items of blockchain, fintech, tokenization, how to set up companies in Dubai, and how to bring the ecosystem together to actually be successful. Today, I have 2 or 3 important colleagues that I'd like to introduce, and then we'll give the floor also to other speakers as well. I would like to give the floor to Franco, which is my partner in this venture. We also have Andrej, but he's not online, but at least Franco can speak for Andrej because Andrej is more a little bit on the German side. So I think next time we'll try maybe one in German. You never know in the future. The website is about to go live. And then after Franco, we'll go to Tarek. That's going to explain to us how we are cooperating together with his ecosystem of events as well. And then we go to Mohamed Thiab, which just became CEO of one of our joint venture companies as well. So first, I'll give the floor to Franco. Hey, Franco, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you, George? How's everything? How are you guys? What's up? What's up? So first of all, I'd like to thank you to be a part of it. As George already said, we doing our EchoX live. We have our networking event at one venue that I'm managing in Dubai. And current is like the cases going up in Dubai and they are more strict. And we have like from DDCM some restrictions for the next 2 weeks that we cannot host so big gatherings together. So we want to make sure that we not run into any fines and so on. So we decide to make this event online. I think like it's a great idea to do that because of course we want to follow up our Mondays network meetings. So as George already said, like we are based in Dubai. Me and George, we met a couple of years ago. We did great events. We have a lot of projects going on. And I think like all of you guys know George already. So I think like I would pass it back to the community. I'd just like to welcome you to EchoX Monday Networking. And it's great, Sergey, to partner up with you. And I think we're going to have a lot of great projects together. And so we always extend our network. That's why we EchoX Networking. And so thank you so much, guys. And I'm giving back to George.
Okay, today we have a second special guest apart from our Los Angeles, San Francisco colleague. We have Tariq Qureshi that is joining us from Exponential Talks, also in Dubai. We have just recently did a joint series of on basically fintech. So I will give the next 5-10 minutes to Tarek, where he can cover some of the great things that we're doing in the fintech world. Tarek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, George. Thank you, everybody. You know, gentlemen, it's wonderful to connect with all of you, and the token lady, Elizabeth. I think firstly we should have more gender balance in this community. So that's the first little observation. George and I go back many years. We've been doing things together. I love and respect the work that he's doing. But whenever I look at some of the work that you're doing, I will be a little bit of a contrarian. There is a lot of micro focus, and everybody's got their microscope out in terms of looking at the minute elements of blockchain, of fintech, of all of those elements. Before I talk about the industry and the environment, I'd like all of us to take a deep breath and take a step back and say, what is all of this about? And to me, the fundamental thing that it's all about is trust. Trust is the invisible glue that puts it all together. Trust is that element that we cannot touch. It's intangible, but it exists in every single thing that we are doing. Whether it's the COVID crisis, whether it's travel, whether it's our financial transactions, at the end of the day, at the most human level, it's about trust. And trust is not just about honesty. There are different forms of trust. There are trust platforms that we're creating. The blockchain environment actually creates that trust environment for us. Trust is a currency that we can use. One is at the transactional level that we can use because of competencies and so on. And the other one is at a relational level. So George and I, if we trust each other, our currency of trust is massive. And all of the technologies that are there and the environments that are there, and all of you are putting forward, help us to understand not only speed, but also the connectivity of trust. At every stage in life, as the world has developed, we've had to take trust leaps. We have to take jumps of trust forward. So Airbnb was a trust leap, getting strange people coming and living in your houses. Uber was a trust leap, getting into a car and going, you know, it was a completely different way of doing things. So all of technology that we are looking at and all of the technologies that you're working on requires trust leaps. So this is one of the key things we need to look at. So there was a survey that was done by Oracle recently about this is pre-COVID, where 64% of the people that were surveyed said that they trust their managers more than, they trust their robots more than they trust their managers. Can you imagine that? And 82% of them said that they trust the quality of the work from their robots more than their managers and their colleagues, 82%. So what has happened is, as we have started accepting robots and machine learning and all of the other enabling technologies that you provide, it has increased our level of trust and engagement with a lot of things that are around us. What Sergey was talking about earlier on, the connectivity and the platforms that he's providing is enabling people to do a transaction in a trustworthy manner. And I think this is where I'd like to build the relevance of that. And we should never forget human behavior and fundamental elements of how humans respond when we go into deep technologies like we do in these kinds of forums. And there are many other elements of hard and soft trust and new institutions. The trust started at a local level in a village, then it became organizational, then it became networked and distributed. But post-COVID, it has become hypersensitive and basically we need to be looking at all aspects of it in a way that is much, much more accelerated and on steroids. Now, so I wanted to set this tone because I think we forget the human value.
I'm going to completely break protocol, but that was such an interesting comment. I want you to dive into that one.
You need to do what?
I'm going to break protocol, but say that was such an interesting comment that I'm going to be Mr. Inappropriate Los Angeles guy, break in, stop you, and say, explain what you just said. Post-COVID, trust has become hypersensitive. What do you mean? Like, unpack that.
Okay, I will totally unpack that. What has happened post-COVID? I mean, we are still in COVID, but post-COVID is, yeah. So
post the advent of COVID.
So I'm glad you broke the protocol because it's really, really important. Now, when we are traveling, George mentioned that we need to travel. He can't travel because both sides have to trust each other. Both airlines and airports have to trust each other. Both nations have to trust each other that the person getting on the plane and getting off the plane is actually free of any kind of coronavirus. That is hypersensitivity to the question of trust. That is ambient trust that we are building. So that is one key element that is there. So the multiple levels of trust that is being created, the whole element of in the COVID environment is that we are as good as our weakest link. One person is not working and the whole trust value chain breaks down. So those are the things there. Secondly, China became the factory of the world. Now, what COVID crisis has brought into the whole thing is bringing all these supply chains closer to home, because we trust our environment closer to home. So therefore, we will reinvent our whole infrastructure and environment around us with closer farming, closer production. 3D printing is going to get into play. All sorts of new technologies are coming into play. So the fintech environments, the agri-tech environments, all of them are going to start coming closer to home. The value chains, as the supply chains are going to come closer to home. That's the second thing I mean post-COVID. The third thing about trust in a post-COVID environment is that I think the moment I don't know what your experience is Gordon, in LA, but you know, people walking into a lift, there's a little jerk. You know, you was like, okay, is this person okay?
I don't go into lifts anymore.
Sorry, sir?
I don't go, I mean, if you mean elevator, sorry, I assume you mean American English elevator.
Yeah.
We don't go into, I steer clear.
That's precisely my point. Our behavior sets are changing. Now, you know, in Dubai, for example, we were a very, very consumer-driven society. We were a spending society. What the COVID environment has actually changed our behavior into preserving cash rather than spending cash. So our behavior sets are changing. Our family sets are changing. And one of the things that we always have, and that's called the corporate and personal immune systems. These are our habits and our formats that we basically try to hold back anything that we don't understand or we cannot trust or we don't believe or have a habit for. And these are immune systems to resist to new change. Our immune systems are changing, like education. A year ago, everybody said, oh, well, we can't do this, we can't do that. Everything changed overnight. Same with healthcare, same with all of the other things. Our behavior is changing because our engagement is changing, and we need to build new layers of trust and new leaps of trust to make these things work, whether it's education, e-commerce, anything else. I mean, we talk about trust leaps, and we need to make some new trust leaps. And the work with George and stuff that we're doing on fintech and various other things is actually looking at a lot of new opportunities in various areas. Fintech is just one area. We're looking at many, many others. But the reason I wanted to throw the word trust and ethics and empathy in is I do a lot of these sessions, and guess what? We get involved in detail, we get involved in process, we forget the humanity. The future is not about technology. The future is about humanity and love and relationships and intuition and connection and heart and soul. That is what we are about. Everything else is an enabler for us and will create an environment for us. Gordon, tell me.
Well, I was about to say, can I break protocol again? Because you caught my imagination. So one of the things that I find fascinating about Bitcoin specifically, and its sort of permissionless Byzantine fault-resistant template, is it, in a way, moves beyond trust. It's not do you trust or do you not trust. It makes trust in some ways a non-issue just through the consensus mechanism. And the question was more not so much do you trust or not trust this individual, this miner, but do you trust or not trust math? And a lot of people got comfortable with Bitcoin and that specific proof of work model because the consensus that everyone arrived to was mathematically driven by people's individual economic incentives. How do you, I'm also aware that, you know, way before Bitcoin came out, there's a book by Stephen Covey called Business at the Speed of Trust, which is one of his lesser known books, but I enjoyed it. Yep. There's a little bit of intellectual tension, I feel, in this world between people who are trying to move beyond trust or to math-based trust or to cryptographically enforced trust and the kind of personal trust that you're talking about. So I'm just kind of, I always find that there's intellectual benefit at the edges. So can you explore this a little bit?
The reason I was talking about different types of trust, mathematics is a basic form of trust because of logic and reason and method. So 2 + 2 is 4, and we can trust that number. You're absolutely right. But trust is at different levels. And one level is how you do things, is competency, reliability, consistency, and math. On the other side is why you do things, empathy, integrity, honesty, alignment, all of those things. So trust is built on both levels. You can trust the math, but if you don't trust the person, you won't accept it. And throughout society, that has happened, that you engage with people through trust, and then the transactions take on from there. So I think you cannot exclude that. It's an intangible that is always there.
Tariq, I would like to add something here, and this is important. This is why we created EcoX. In the Middle East specifically, and in certain cultures, the human contact is as important as the logical contact. So it's a bit like the yin and the yang of trust. You need both components to actually achieve and create successful business transactions. Without that, yes, some transactions are very mechanical and financial in nature, but long-term relationships require both the human element of the transaction as well.
Yeah, and I've created something we call a trust barometer, where there are 5 or 6 elements of trust, and one of them is the math, but it's also competence, it's also reliability. So you can be one thing and not the other. You can be absolutely correct on the math, but not on the others. You won't trust it. Take Facebook, for example. Libra is a platform they've come out. I mean, by all accounts, I mean, you guys are the experts, I'm not. For me, it's anecdotal. Libra is a perfectly valid ecosystem that they are trying to put out there. It is highly unlikely to succeed from us sitting far away from San Francisco and Silicon Valley, because we do not trust Facebook to manage our data. We do not trust Facebook to be clear and open.
Why ever would you say that about poor innocent Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg? I have nothing to do with him, but I'm deeply wounded on his behalf. Deeply wounded.
I'm so sorry, Gordon. I know you're in LA. You're just south of
No, I'm kidding. Facebook canceled one of my accounts. Like, I'm having to rebuild an old backup account, and they said it's because of COVID and they'll get to it. It's still, I mean, it's still under review. I don't even know why. It's like, you know, heaven forbid I had a Libra wallet and needed to pay rent, and they're like, oh, you know, it's under review. 4 months later, you know, it's like same. Yeah, and I just to break in for a second, I used to do lots of presentations on Libra. I actually went to the Libra headquarters in Geneva.
Right.
They're located in a co-working space. They weren't even there. They were just kind of subletting from PayPal. And I created a depiction that I was looking for co-working space to kind of like walk around. It's air, or at least at that time it was air. Yeah, so I was being deeply ironic, but yes, no, I think when it, you know, Facebook is nice for chat and for social networking, but in terms of trust, not at all. That's been abused to the extent where it's been lost.
Yeah.
So, but please go on.
And also, if you take a lot of the youth environment in terms of product adoption, and that a lot of the young people who are coming through, they would rather buy a mobility, and I won't say a car, mobility from a technology company than from boring Volkswagen. And that's a shift of who you trust and who you like. And when we talk about fintech, people would rather, you know, that in the United States, again, another quote is that 28% of the people who have bank accounts in the US, only 28% trust their banks to be honest and fair in their dealings. Only 28% trust them, and still be going around working with them. And that's where the shift is coming in because of the fintech side. By the way, Congress is lower and media is lower than 28%. So shame on all of them. So,
I want to also welcome one extra guest that has also joined us because he had 2 Zoom meetings going on at the same time. And it's our dear friend, Jason King as well. You know, he's part of this crazy group. Jason, you'll have to remove your unmute button, and Sergey will take care of you. So
Okay.
welcome all, come on board to our crazy debate, and then we'll give the floor to Mohammed Thiab as well.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. How are you guys? Yeah, it's been a crazy times, but it's fun.
Where are you nowadays?
I am in Dubai.
Okay, so we'll meet you at the next physical one. So yes. What we want to know, what is the most interesting projects that you're working on? I'm sure you're working on something that has 4 words. It starts with a D, ends with an I.
With a D and I? Yes. So for me, usually what we look for is since last year, we've been really looking to the DeFi space, particularly looking at how decentralized finance can, change and bring about new opportunities for, in general, against the backdrop of what's been happening with the global economy. We can see the effects of the modern fiasco and monetary policies being in full-blown play. Money printing is inflation is everywhere. And against this backdrop, I think DeFi is proving to be a very strong hedge against the global economy. Now, there are a lot of crazy things happening, and not all of them I can say 100% I approve of, but there is something here that I think once we attract more of the serious and more, people to really join this sector, I think the more serious things and more innovative and game-changing projects will come out of. For me, recently, we've been really busy with Bella Protocol. Tomorrow it's going on live trading on Binance. And I think currently we have over like $700 million worth of assets under staking on Binance. And 3 days ago, we launched Sushi Swap with Elf Team. And Sushi reached like within 6 hours, like over $700 million in assets. So there's a lot of capital right now that are flowing in to look for yield, and some of them are borderline, Ponzi-like. So I don't think a lot of the yields are sustainable, but 5-10% after everything cool off, definitely achievable, definitely sustainable. And we were talking about for the average Joe who has like, $1,000 and he can make 5-10% a year. I think that's totally doable with DeFi. And I think that changes the whole current problems with the financial space where, people are not getting any returns on their checking accounts and still being charged ridiculous high interest rates. There's just no real good place for people to put their money, and people are having difficulties making money. So I think DeFi is something that is still very nascent and very young, and a lot of things that are happening doesn't really, help letting people take it too seriously. But I do know that there is this potential to really make something big, and it will require more intelligence people and more talent to really join the space and shape it. So this is what I think.
I agree with you. I do believe that especially in the space of DeFi, it's going to be able to introduce a whole new capabilities, including, for example, people have access to loans that today don't have access to loans. So it's going to create a new generation of neo-banks or virtual banks that literally don't have any office and will be able to offer very basic services, but at a much reasonable rates, whether it's loans, insurance, or simple things that are driven by code, basic rules. So I do think this is quite important. There's one person we have on the line that I wanted to give the mic for a few minutes. It's an old friend that we date back probably close to 25 years plus. He's probably in Jordan today. So Mohammed, maybe you can unmute yourself and give us a few words of wisdom from the background that you come. You'll have to unmute yourself. So looking forward to hearing a few things from you.
Hello, George. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be with this team. And I would like to thank George for giving me the opportunity to be with you. It's also a pleasure to meet Franco, Sergey, and Tariq, and the others, Jason, etc. Really, it is a nice thing. It is a great thing to be with this team. As George said, our relationship goes back probably 20 years or so. it was at the time, I think we were both with CA, Computer Associates Middle East, and it went on with multiple occasions where we met in conferences throughout the region. We met in projects. So yeah, it's a great thing. And referring to the point about trust, having people that you know and you trust makes you also trust the whole idea and the whole team. So being part of this team, I know George very well. I trust him, and to me, this is great. I trust you all, by the way. So this is something which is nice.
So 3 degrees of freedom, I guess.
Yeah. One thing that I would like to go to first, I'm new to the team here. I'm new to this, to these Zoom sessions. So bear with me if I'm a bit slow or a bit out of sync a little bit. But I would like really to share something, some thoughts here. George mentioned that I will take the responsibility or the role of COO in one of the initiatives, which is great. Again, this may be nice. I mean, as it builds on my previous professional record. I have, I'll just give you a brief idea about myself. I think it doesn't hurt. I have, a long history with a company that you may like or may not like, I don't know, which is IBM. I worked for IBM in Saudi Arabia for something like 17 years before I quit and came back to Jordan. I established Millennia Vision Consulting to focus on consultancy services which are vendor and product neutral. Then I had the opportunity to come back to Saudi Arabia, and this is where I met George for the first time. It's really a great thing. And from there on, I think we went into nice, ideas, business ideas, and initiatives together. We often exchange ideas. We discuss the value of certain things, and this is all great. One thing that I would like to mention that trying to connect with what was said before, and I just heard part of it. I did not hear the whole thing. In my view, I look at the ultimate picture as building on business, technology, and cultures. And business and technology are almost the easiest part, and they are straightforward, I would say. I mean, they are governed by rules, they are easy to understand, etc. When it comes to the culture, whether it is culture of the people or culture of the organizations, then we come into unknown areas. And this kind of relationship of business, technology, and culture are necessary pillars in any key or strategic initiative, especially when you talk about trust building in something which is intangible. And I think this is what we are discussing. So this is something that I would like to relate to. And if there is anything, please, ask me questions. I think it is easier for me to interchange information or exchange information with you based on questions rather than me going on and on. Thank you, everybody. George, please take the lead back and tell me if there is anything that you would like me to cover or address.
No, I'll pass it actually back to Sergey because we still have over 200 people online. So Sergey is our guy that coordinates all the energy of the thing we have today. Of course, Gordon from the California side also helps a lot, and it adds a little bit of spice to the mix, but this is what makes it all interesting in the end.
George,
I like that.
Yeah. I'm also like to, George, actually from my side today, there's no needed for the moderation. You bring all the distinguished people around the globe here and everything is already happened. That's why for me is yes, it's with respect to you and to your friends and to guests today. Actually, I want to mention something about trust. In blockchain industry, in crypto space, looks like no one of blockchainers trust each other. But they are doing trust in the code. I don't know how it happens besides of people to each other trust less, they are going to trust to the code, to something what's happened on the machines. yes, you are completely right that people have to find a way to trust each other without coding, without this machine interruption on our lives is the best way to interact with each other. But I know why, and I don't know how it's happened, that people around thousands of years, they do not have any good opportunities to trust each other without any, I don't know, without any, how I'd say in English, without any new kind of ideology, just without pre-securities, without any kind of precise on we trust each other. That's why for me is very close to my heart. Is I am also want to living in that space, but unfortunately I'm living in Russia, I'm living in Moscow, I'm living on this side with the people around the sharks, which are slowing, and it looks like, wow, where is the money and where is the new kind of opportunities? That's why here is too hard for survive and too hard to survive in this trustless industry, but we're going to trust machines. That's why, Gordon, please help me somehow, because I need your advice. You know English much more better than me.
Well, you know, your Russian's better than mine, and we're both learning what we're learning.
Okay, it's not mentioned.
Yazıcı Ruski Yazik. Actually, I like how Tariq teased it out, which is distinguishing between process trust and systemic trust on one hand, sort of what we could call mathematical trust,
yep,
and trusting intention, or trusting intention. There's like intentional trust, like how does this person feel towards me and how will they act?
Yep.
And then there's systemic trust, which is the 2 + 2 = 4, and can we rely on that fact?
Absolutely.
In terms of, and I'm actually hitting this issue with a lot of projects, and the more distributed, decentralized we get, the more this is coming into sharper focus. To operate at speed and at scale and at distance, which is, I think, some things that are becoming sharper with COVID. You can't individually negotiate and maintain trust relationships, intentional trust relationships all the time. It's just human language and human minds are too slow. You need a substructure of reliable protocols or way of handling things, like TCP/IP, like knowing that the wire you send from this bank to that bank in another country will 99.999% of the time clear. Knowing that the Bitcoin blockchain, 5 or 6 blocks in will be irreversible. You need this substructure, this infrastructure of things that are beyond trust. One, electrons to have a certain atomic weight no matter what. But it's again, picking up a little bit on what Tariq said, in some weird way, COVID has all grounded us. Like, I am stuck in freaking Los Angeles. It sucks. I used to as you know, we met, I was traveling all around the world speaking about this. So it was a great few years there with crypto and everything else. So on one hand, I am grounded. I can't get out of this freaking house. Like, I went a block away somewhere else for dinner last night, and it was like first time I've done that in like a month. But on the other hand, here we are on Zoom, and I'm getting exposed to Dubai, which I've always been interested in, but I don't know deeply, and I've never had a chance to go to. So I'm grounded yet completely, location has been removed. So it's just a weird dichotomy right now. I think when it comes to DeFi, the entire, one of the big premises behind this, I think Jason can probably throw something in here too if he comes back online, is the whole point of DeFi to a certain extent is you don't know who you're dealing with, but yet you trust that it's going to work at least at some point when these protocols mature. I think there's a very big place for that. I don't necessarily want to know who I'm dealing with, because to the extent that these activities are in regulatory gray zones, that if I know who I'm dealing with, so do certain regulators who aren't necessarily on the side of making this all work. So the fact that someone's anonymous to me and certain regulators is a feature, not a bug. So I think like most things in human life, you have to look at each individual thing and keep certain principles in mind to be flexible in your application of those principles, because not everything is the same. So in some cases, like, do I want to stay in someone's house? Well, when they're not there, then that's Airbnb, and it takes that much trust. If they're in the same house while I'm there, that requires a lot more trust. You just need to understand your scenario. With DeFi, I like what Jason said, and hopefully he comes back on. it's again, I don't want to trust in the sense that I don't want the people participating in this to be a target. But on the other hand, if you look at SushiSwap and the gentleman who pulled the funds out and then had to change them hard, which I thought was really ethical and interesting, and put the funds back in, I don't know if that person violated trust when he pulled the funds out, but he certainly violated some people's ideas of social norms and expectations. And to put it back in, interestingly enough, created a whole new branch of social norms and expectations. It's fascinating to me. And looking at what happened at Yam, that's almost a case of we couldn't trust the code because there was a bug in the code that made it go wrong. Yeah. But in a weird way, we could trust the people because they made Yam 2.0 and sort of did a token swap or token restitution so that the people who got damaged by the first technical bug came out okay. It's just, I don't have the final answer, but watching these ideas morph and evolve and have this Cambrian evolution of interaction is just, to me, is fascinating.
It is
there's
indeed.
One other person that joined us, apart from the 300 plus that are online, is Saif. Saif has been with us for a couple of years now. He has made sure that our parties are the best parties in the world with the entertainment, but he's also a famous speaker. So I want to give at least a few words of introduction and wisdom from Saif, since he's a great part of our team spirit. Saif, go ahead.
Hello, guys. First of all, thank you so much, George, for giving me the opportunity to do this. I am probably the newest member of the family. If you want to consider me as a rookie, I'll take that for the time being.
I'm the rookie.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm also the rookie.
You're the rookie as well. Well, hey, we've got two rookies in the team. Well, that's a good thing. I feel a little bit better. And that talks about, the issue that you guys were discussing right now is the trust issue. And it's interesting what you guys have been saying about, about trust and working together as a team, because I actually know of George through Franco. I've been Franco's partner here in Dubai for the past, 10 years right now, working together hand in hand. Just to give you a little background about myself, I was actually a radio presenter for almost 7.5 years here in the UAE. I was born and raised in the UAE. And, I've been working, in events, hosting, DJing as well. I'm very much involved in the music industry. And, I'm a firm believer in technology and technology-based businesses. And this is why ever since, Franco established EcoX with George and Andre, I was actually very psyched. And I was over listening, over the past couple of years when they used to carry out meetings. And, I'm fully invested in the idea right now. And this is just, one of the things that I want to hopefully get into in the very near future. And I just wanted to introduce myself and, listen to the experts in the team, just, fulfill me with more valuable information.
George, you're muted.
Sergey, back to you. So I think we are wrapping up close to 1 hour. So maybe get everybody one last chance to say any closing remarks. And I thank the audience for staying with us for this hour. And next week, we will be doing a similar event, still online and virtual. And then from the third week, we're back to our physical events. So I invite you to join us, obviously, at the Conrad Hotel from 8 o'clock until midnight, or those that want to stay late. Most of the times it finishes at 2 o'clock in the morning. So it's a great opportunity for the people that live in Dubai and the people that are passing by Dubai. We have people coming from all over the world, some coming from Australia, from Africa, from Europe, from the United States, where we just met actually 3 guys a few hours ago. And we have also a group of friends from Brazil. So it makes, on average, something like 20 to 30 nationalities per meeting alone. So this kind of interaction, connection, and strength in delivering projects is quite unique. Also this afternoon, we had great meetings with China and Thailand. And, it adds obviously a lot of flexibility and mixture between the various cultures that are playing and bringing projects to fruition. So a whole new level of trust.
Yeah, sure. Gentlemen, you have all the chances now to turn on your mic and be with us, to turn your camera and yes, you have a chance to speak with us, to speak with the community. Andy, Clinton, Mogollon, Shannon, Jane, Anderson, maybe from your side. No one wants. Okay, Gardner. I think, yes, the best way to finalize today event, because people looking that you are living in California, but I know, I'm sure that you're living in California, is Los Angeles. Oh, Franco, you're here. Just give us the tip.
So what the tip? First, I like also. Yeah, I mean, like that's now the big boom. The last conversations here before everybody goes his own way, and I like thank George to welcome also my partner Safe in the community, and I like just want to pronounce it again. I met George was with him once in Sharjah on stage. Remember, George?
Yes.
For government projects. So he did a lot of government projects. Also, he was the music director of FIFA last year in the UAE in Asian Cup. So so I think like he has a great future with a mentor like George, because I try to place him on his side, like always, like, you know. So and like George is a big mentor for me also every day. I learn more and more about this great technology business, and we make big steps. And like you guys say, thanks so much for this great networking. And I'll pass like to the other squares that I cannot see, Clinton, Cher, or whatever. So thank you so much, Sergey, again, and George, to be.
Clinton, say a few words. I mean, you've been with us for a long time.
Hi, Clinton. What's up?
Hey guys, how are you doing? So
South Africa.
I've got nothing good to say about George. We've only ever competed in the industry, from cloud platforms to everything. And then George reminds me about algorithms that were used on, I think they were called mainframes back in the day. So it just shows his age, right? So I'm the bridge between George and the millennials. So I'm still cool, I think. I just don't have any hair.
Built for speed.
Built for speed. No, I think my brains are growing out of my head. But anyway, no, it's great to be part of this community. George knows I'm an open source freak. I'm a great contributor to great ideas, but only great ideas about making real change to community. Not only community between people, but also in big enterprise, because George and I have both lived through horror stories, right? When people talk about big words like digital transformation and smart cities and all that, right? George and I are realists, and that's why we get along. So thanks for keeping us alive. I can't make it every night, every Monday to the Conrad, because it's not about getting a green card from the wife. I'm on so many calls with the US at the moment, so I've got to keep my time alive. So maybe we should have split events, right? Maybe twice a week, maybe one at the end of the week, and not a Monday, because some of us are on overseas calls. So that's just a recommendation from my side. Cheers, guys.
Okay, we will listen to that recommendation. No problem. My pleasure.
Shukran, Habibi.
There was also Elijah from Africa. I don't know if he came, he disappeared, so hopefully he's still online.
Elijah, turn on your mic and camera. And
correct. And Mohammed, just a quick, and Tarek, a few last words of wisdom.
My last words are, it was very ironic what Sergey said, that you work in an environment of producing a trusted platform with blockchain and Bitcoin, but there is lack of trust amongst the people. And I think that's a very interesting observation and insight, and perhaps that has to be overcome in some way. Today I spoke about trust. There's another close brother of trust. It's called ethics. And I think that's for another time. But I think we need to throw that into the equation, because you are influencing so many people, and you are influencing our lives on a day-to-day basis with currencies, with platforms, with interaction and so on. And if ethics and empathy are not put into that equation at the early stage and before everything is happening, our future is going to be really, really difficult to manage. So I think we need to be responsible collectively to have trust, ethics, and empathies and values within everything that we do. I know it's a soft message, but I think it's a really important one, and I hope it resonates with some of you. Thank you. Thank you very much for welcoming me.
Thank you, gentlemen. Really, my hugest pleasure for today, for having today on this room. Maybe, I don't know, when you don't have any chances to be somehow to meet each other offline in a Congress hotel, I have already chance to see you here, all of you. Yes, in a good way to explaining your thoughts here via the Zoom. Actually, my hugest respect to all of you. Gordon, maybe some finalized words, because we have to finalize today's event. Yes.
I just think so Sergey and I are sort of lightly collaborating on doing a series of shows. He has his, which is great. I'm happy to be part of. I have Crypto Wednesdays, and I think you all inspired me to do a Dubai episode on Crypto Wednesdays. I knew it was a hotspot, but now I'm seeing all this talent, and I like what you're saying. And George, I feel like we've crossed paths before. I'm a big soccer fan. We call it soccer in the US, sorry. I just feel like we've crossed paths before, but whether we have or haven't, it's nice to meet or re-meet you. I'm impressed by everything you're all doing. I'm impressed by this network, and I like the discussion about ethics and trust. I don't hear that too often in these. I don't hear the lack of it, but it's not brought to the front in a lot of these discussions that I participate in or hear of, and it's refreshing to hear it. So I just my hats off to all of you. I wish I was in Dubai. I wish I could go to the Conrad. That sounds absolutely amazing. But I will appreciate you from a distance for now.
By the way, you're welcome anytime. The entrance is open to everyone, and it's an open door policy. And next time you simply drop by Dubai, it's every Monday night.
Perfect. Sounds amazing. Thank you.
Okay, I see the raised hands from William Maura. Just please turn on your camera, your mic, and go ahead. Eli, yes, we're looking for you. Maybe something happened with internet connection. VJ, no, I'm sorry. VJ Mayura.
Your mic is muted.
Your mic, your camera don't turn on completely.
Yeah, sir. This is fine now.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. You're a bit dark, but it's okay. We listen to you.
Yeah. Sir, this side Vijay. I'm basically based in Dubai. I'm a project manager in Dubai Petroleum, and I'm quite because since 2014 I'm tracking this cryptocurrency industries. So I have seen very good up moves and downside both. So nowadays this in cryptocurrency DeFi is a very much into the trend actually. So my very straightforward question to you all, very genius guy here in this forum. So my straightforward question to you guys, that as a DeFi project, what we have to see actually, and what in terms of growth, in terms of risk factor, or in terms of long-term investment call, what is your guys' advice? Whether we should be looking very good quality projects and believing in this DeFi projects for long-term and with a good growth perspective, or what is your call for this DeFi projects actually?
Okay, I will try and attempt at that. DeFi is going through the same stage that we had both in ICOs, IEOs, and STOs. So don't put any money that you cannot risk. So that means I would say 1 or 2% of the projects in DeFi will actually survive. The other ones will simply vanish. Now, how do you know which is the correct ones? The same thing always comes to the play. Trust, team, technology, and being able to deliver on the promise. If that is not there, it will evaporate very quickly.
Sure. Thank you. Thank all of you. I want to say goodbye to all of you from now. I'm looking for all of you, yes, on the next Crypto Mondays as well. My pleasure. I'm be honored with you. Really, for me is very interesting to have so distinguished people around the globe. I'm sure that networking matters, and we have to be connected via this Zoom, via somehow, but we have to. Okay, guys, thank you. See you next time. I want to finish today's event. Bye. See you later.
This is live. Okay. This is live with Moscow. So say hello to Moscow. This is Mr. Ahmed Rafai, which helped us organize this event. So we have live in Moscow, and we're going to be talking. This is Sergey. Sergey.
Yes, Sergey, with me.
Hi, Sergey. You cannot hear him, but the one who's translating. He's speaking Russian, I speak to you in English. Okay. So Sergey is helping coordinate this event, and today here in the Dubai EcoX, we're showcasing Tangem, and we have to send a message to Sergio Mello, CEO of Tangem. Yeah, he will be logging in very shortly. Hopefully, we send him the link. So I'm not sure. Let's make sure that he's got the link. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Okay.
So Sergio, where are you? Sergio, I'm sure I sent something to him, but just to be on the safe side. So when he shows up, you can just conference him in. Let me see. So he should be in shortly. So we have a big audience here today. So in EcoX. So we'll walk around and say hello to everybody. So we have today we're here in EcoX. And we have a famous guy that is with us, that is good in Forex trading, and he's here to also see about Tangem. Yeah, love to look forward to that. This is in Russia, so Russia, Dubai, and in a few minutes we'll have California online as well.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Great. So you want to say anything about EcoX, how you like it?
Oh, we love it. We love it more when George is here. Because George is the heart and soul of EcoX. And he makes things happen and he connects people.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for coming. There. We have, sorry to interrupt, we have here a good friend from United States.
Finally, yeah, nice to meet you.
Russia is in the building. Yeah, you're live. Yeah. Says hello.
Hey, how are you?
This is a famous American author living in Dubai doing startups.
And I'm so happy to have you here.
Yes, I hear you. It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
French is in the house, so say something they can hear you. No, Russian. No, French is this guy. No, French is fine. Yeah, it's nothing. Actually, the Russian, they speak French. They have a lot of French words in the dictionary. So tell us a bit about the things you do in blockchain and startups.
The things I do in blockchain is I was one of the first people in the region to hire UAE, not the UAE, and the GCC to do a cross-border payment solution on blockchain. We implemented 2014 out of Kuwait. This is that I've been involved in all kind of weird and interesting blockchain-related projects. What I'm most proud of is I wrote a book about a year ago. I was released about a year ago called "I Don't Trust You, but Blockchain and Bitcoin Will Help." The whole idea behind it was to demystify what blockchain is all about, to show people that hey, it's an infrastructure technology. It's a tool in your toolbox. It's not the game changer of everything. It's one tool of the future tools.
What about yourself?
Cool. Yes, it's very interesting.
Yes.
My partners are very proficient in blockchain. I'm the less technical of the team, but I'm the founder of a company where we have been building a reward platform for the circular economy, for reward
financial behavior. The first application we want consumers when they bring this set of hotel to point of collection, and they reward it with their own currency. Okay. And what is the name? The name of the application is Zero.
And the token is Eco Reward ERW.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Welcome. There, we'll say hello to our friends here. We have some friends from India.
Wow.
Say hello to Moscow. Hello. Moscow is here.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Good,
Yeah,
good. Actually, yes, good.
Everything can hear you. He's hearing you very well. So say hello. What projects do you normally are involved in? What project?
I'm doing gold.
So this gentleman here, Mr. Saeed, does gold. So he's a big gold trader in the region.
Wow.
He's happy to be here at EcoX. How you like yourself?
I see.
Meeting. So he's enjoying himself. So we have here from...
Hello, как дела? Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте. Хорошо. Nice to meet you. Yeah, there.
See, we have all the languages here. French. And we have also another colleague from India that is doing agriculture investment project. Wow. So we plan to use blockchain to also help him as well. Okay, thank you very much. So we'll go around the room, say hello to a few more. It's a very busy day here today. We have a few colleagues here, even from Germany. So Germany, say hello to Russia.
Hello, nice to meet you.
He speaks Russian as well, so say как дела?
Хорошо, yes, good words, yeah.
Yes, I hear you. Everything is good. He cannot hear you, but because we need to get a better system for next meeting. But we have so many nationalities. We have also Turkeys in the house. So,
Алло, привет, как дела?
Очень хорошо. Yes, nice to meet you.
Я не знаю по-русски, просто чуть-чуть.
He speaks a little. Malinka, чуть-чуть. But we have pretty much every nationality possible here today to attend this event by Tendrum and EcoX. Okay, one more round. Pleasure. So we come and say hello to somebody from the city. Come to Russia.
Russia?
Yeah, this is my friend from Russia. Streaming from EcoX.
Okay. Hi, привет, как дела?
They're saying he's welcoming you as well. So he's one of our big Emiratis that comes here regularly to our event, EcoX. He also speaks Portuguese, huh? So imagine, Portuguese, Russian. You try.
Спасибо.
Okay, спасибо большое. Thank you.
Спокойной ночи.
Спокойной ночи.
Okay, yes, спокойной ночи. We're not going to be good night here. Yes, nice to meet you. George, you know, actually...
This is England, no? UK, British.
Yeah.
So British meets Moscow. So he's streaming live from Moscow. This is one of the big traders and investors that makes... tell you. So if you anybody interested in brokerage, this is the guy to come and say hello to.
And I'm a Bitcoin baron, I'm scaring the status quo. Got that crypto going, that foul to flow. In the algorithm, gon' get him until prison sentence or to prison. And that's a nerdy living. I'm a Bitcoin baron, I'm scaring the status quo. Got that crypto going, that